What's up guys, Brann here with AT Disc Golf, and this is my in the bag video. First off, I'm going to start with my putters. The first one is a Jawbreaker Challenger by Discraft. This one's pretty new. I haven't got to use it yet, but I've heard good things about them, so I can't wait to try it out. The next one is an XT Nova. I use this one as a mid-range a lot, but here recently I've started using it as a putter as well. I just trust that no matter what line I put it on, it's going to hold it, whether it's Annie, Hazer, or just flat. Next up are my mid-ranges. First up is an Atlas. This one's pretty understable, so that's about all I use it for is Annie approach shots, because when I throw it any other way, it tends to just fade off to the right, so I don't really trust it any other way. Next one is a Star Mako 3. I've had several Makos before and I liked them all. They're really flat, so they go pretty straight for a while and they don't fade off too hard at the end. The next one is a V-Rock. I just got this one from Dylan Foster. I haven't got to throw it yet, but I've heard good things about it, so we'll see how this one goes. The next one is a Prodigy M4. I throw this one off the tee a little bit, and I don't really approach with it, just use it to get down the fairway a little bit. It's a lot like the Mako 3 for me, but I can throw it a little bit further. And the last one is probably my favorite mid-range. It's a Wasp made by Discraft. It's a 1.5, so it's pretty overstable. So I use it for overstable approach shots. And I use this one a lot off the tee because if I put a little bit more on it, it doesn't turn as hard. Next up are my fairway drivers. The first two are they're not really fairway drivers. They're both Discraft and they're considered distance drivers, but the way I use them are fairway drivers. The first one is an Express. It's a 0, so it ends up being pretty unstable when you throw it hard enough. But it goes pretty straight if I don't throw it too hard. And I like it, but I don't use it as much as the other one. The other one's a Heat. It's also a 0. I can throw this one a little bit further, but I don't use it as much as I used to. I can't throw it forehand anymore because it's a little beat in, but it's still pretty good. The next one is a Champion Leopard 3. I don't throw this one forehand at all because it can go really unstable if I do throw it backhand a lot, and it's probably my #1 fairway for off the tee shots. And the last one is a T-Bird. It's Metal Flake. This is the only fairway that I have that I can throw forehand or backhand. It's still pretty new, so it's kind of overstable right now, but I know what it'll do once I break it in because I have had several before. Next up are my distance drivers. First up, the low speed ones. This one is a Champion Monarch. This one's really beat in, but I don't really throw it normal. I throw it as tomahawk shots. Sometimes I throw it off the tee as a tomahawk, but not very often. Usually it's for escape shots if I'm in the woods and don't really have a line, or if I'm in the middle of a fairway and it's tight and I need it to sit down near the basket. This is my go-to right here. The next one is a Champion Valkyrie. I just got this one recently, so I haven't thrown it very much. Not really sure what it does, but the ones I've had in the past were pretty good. I throw them forehand mostly, and they go pretty straight, maybe a little bit of turn, and then fade back to the right. The next one is a Champion Beast. I throw this one forehand for distance because it tends to go left a little bit and then come back right. But backhand, I don't throw it quite as far, but I do trust my placement with it. I'm pretty accurate with it backhand. The next one is a Champion Thunderbird. I can throw this one forehand or backhand as well. Backhand is a little bit more overstable, but forehand, it goes pretty straight for a pretty long time and then turns hard to the right. And my last low speed one is a Motion made by MVP. This one's very overstable, so I don't throw it backhand at all because it just turns way too hard. But forehand, I throw it a few different ways. If I put a little flex on it, it'll go pretty far just because of how hard it's going to come back right. Or I can keep it flat and it'll go flat for a pretty good ways and then just turn hard to the right, which is good for depending on what the hole requires or the shot requires. And my high speed drivers, first up is a Champion Wraith. I don't throw this one very much. I used to throw it a lot more, but here lately I just haven't been using it like I used to. It's a pretty good disc, I just don't really have shots that I need it for. The next two are very similar. A G-Star Turn and a Star Archon. They're both so broke in that they're very understable. The Archon more so than the Turn. I can throw the Turn a lot further than I can throw the Archon, so I don't really use the Archon as much. But I use the Turn for holes that dog left to the right a little bit, because I can throw a backhand and that understable will just carry it pretty good ways. The next one is an Echo Star Destroyer. I can't throw this one forehand because of how beat in it is. It just fades real hard to the left. But backhand, if I put a little ante on it, I know I can get a lot of distance and I can control it pretty good. An Excalibur, I use this one strictly for forehands on shots that I need it to go hard to the right because it is a very overstable disc. If I keep it flat, I can get a little bit of distance out of it, but I usually just use it for those overstable forehand shots. The next one is a Star Katana. I used to throw this on forehanded a lot, but now that it's gotten a little bit more broken in, I don't. Backhand, if I put a little ante on it, I can get a pretty good amount of distance. It's probably the furthest backhand disc I have. And the last one is a Champion Colossus, the 14 speed. Pretty much only throw this on forehand with a little bit of flex on it, and it can get a lot of distance. Definitely my furthest disc in my bag, and probably one of my favorite looking ones as well. That's it for my in the bag. Thanks for watching, and there'll be more videos to come.